She didn't jump, she was pushed. At exactly 4:47 a.m., the night broke. Not gently. Not quietly. It shattered. Metal screamed, glass exploded, and a woman fell out of the sky. Her name was Zara. 7 months pregnant. Terrified. Wrapped in black silk that tore through the freezing air like a broken wing. And then, impact. A violent, bone-crushing collision with the hood of a Rolls-Royce Phantom that had no business being there. For a split second, the world held its breath. Then the alarm began to scream. Inside the car, the man didn't move. Not even a blink. His name was Shadow. And people whispered about him the way they whispered about storms. Quietly, carefully, from a distance. Outside, his security detail erupted into chaos. Doors flew open. Guns came out. Eyes scanned the darkness. But Shadow, he simply reached for the handle and stepped out. Calm. Controlled. Unshaken. The snow bit into the night, swirling around him as he adjusted his cuffs like this was just another inconvenience. Then he looked down. Zara lay across the crushed hood, blood spreading slowly beneath her, her hands wrapped protectively around her stomach. Even unconscious, she was shielding her child. Shadow's jaw tightened. But he didn't speak. Instead, he looked up. 5th floors above. A figure stood in the light. Watching. Parker. The man who thought he had just solved a problem. His hands gripped the railing. His breathing shallow. His eyes locked with Shadow. And in that moment, something shifted. Because Parker realized. Too late. He hadn't erased a woman. He had dropped her. Onto the one man in the city who never let things go. Shadow didn't shout. Didn't threaten. Didn't react. He simply pulled out his phone and made a call, without breaking eye contact. That was the moment the war began. Zara woke to a sound she didn't recognize. A soft, rhythmic beeping. Steady. Cold. Alive. Her eyes fluttered open. The ceiling above her was unfamiliar. White, clean, expensive. Not the cracked, stained one she knew. Her body screamed when she tried to move. Pain exploded through her ribs. Her head throbbed. A voice cut through the fog. Don't move. Calm, professional. A nurse adjusted her IV without looking at her. Zara's lips trembled. My baby. Her hand moved instinctively. Slow, shaking. She touched her stomach and froze. Then, a kick. Sharp, strong, defiant. Zara gasped. Tears spilled instantly. Alive. Her baby was alive. The door opened quietly. Zara turned her head and saw him. Shad. No jacket this time. Sleeves rolled up. Tattoos crawling up his arms like secrets carved into skin. He didn't smile. Didn't soften. He just stood there, watching her. You're in my home, he said. His voice was low, grounded. Like something heavy settling into place. You are safe. A pause. And so is she. Zara stared at him. Confused. Exhausted. But for the first time in years. Not afraid. Morning came slowly. Golden light spilling through tall windows. Zara sat up slightly, wincing, when Shadow entered again. This time carrying a tray. Tea. Food. Simple, precise. He set it down carefully. Like she mattered. I don't expect an apology for my car, he said casually. Zara blinked. I didn't. It served a better purpose, he interrupted, pouring tea, as a landing pad. She stared at him, unsure whether to laugh or cry. Her fingers trembled as she took the cup. But something strange happened. She wasn't shaking from fear. She studied him. The sharp lines. The unreadable eyes. The quiet control. This was a man people feared. But he wasn't looking at her like a problem. He was looking at her like a person. And that scared her more. Because she wasn't used to it. Days passed. Slowly. Carefully. Zara walked the halls one afternoon, her body still fragile, her steps cautious. Then she saw it. A photograph. Silver frame. Simple. But it stopped her cold. Shad. Younger. Smiling. Actually smiling. His arm around a pregnant woman, glowing with life. Next to it, a baby. Dark eyes. Curious. Beautiful. Her name was Jayan. Zara flinched. She turned. Shadow stood in the doorway. Still. Controlled. But his eyes carried something deeper. Your wife, Zara whispered. Yes. A pause. And my daughter Hana. Silence filled the room. Heavy. Unforgiving. Zara swallowed. I'm sorry. Shadow shook his head slightly. They were killed, he said. Flat. Controlled. A message. Zara felt her chest tighten. Why are you telling me this? He stepped closer. His gaze dropped to her stomach. Because I know what it looks like, he said quietly. When someone tries to erase a woman and her child. His voice darkened. I've lived it. Zara's breath caught. In this house, he continued, you are not a liability. A beat. You are a second chance. 2 weeks changed everything. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But slowly. Softly. Like wounds learning to close. Zara found a sketchbook on her bedside table one morning. No note. No explanation. Just pencils. And blank pages. Her fingers hovered. Parker's voice echoed in her head. You're wasting your time. This is useless. She hesitated. Then, she picked up the pencil. The first line felt shaky. The second, stronger. By the third, she remembered who she was. Shadow found her drawing days later. He stood behind her. Silent. Watching. You're talented, he said. Zara didn't look up. I used to be. A pause. Used to be, he replied. Doesn't apply to something still in your hands. She stopped drawing. Her chest tightened. No one had ever said that to her before. Then came Friday. And everything shifted. Minsa. Elegant, cold, dangerous. She didn't knock. Didn't hesitate. She's still here, Minso said sharply. Zara froze outside the room. Hidden. Listening. She's a liability, Minso continued. A pregnant stranger, this makes you look weak. Zara's stomach dropped. Send her away, Minso said. Before people start asking questions. Silence. Then, Shadow spoke. I'll handle it. Zara stepped back. Heart breaking. Of course. She knew how this ended. It always ended the same way. She turned and ran straight into him. Shad. His face unreadable. But his hands, clenched tight. White knuckles. You're not something to be handled, he said quietly. Zara looked up at him. Searching. He held her gaze. Unshaken. I don't discard people. Something inside her cracked. But this time, it wasn't pain. It was relief. The clock starts ticking. Tuesday afternoon. Everything changed again. The monitor beeped wrong. Too fast. Too sharp. Dr. Yun's expression shifted. And Zara knew. Something was wrong. We need to deliver, the doctor said. Within 48 hours. Zara's world tilted. I can't. Her voice broke. I can't do this alone. Silence. Then, a chair moved. Shadow sat beside her. Not as a boss. Not as a king. But as someone who understood. When my wife was in labor, he said quietly. She held my hand so tight I thought she'd break it. He looked at her. Steady. Honest. I didn't let go then. He extended his hand. I won't now. Zara stared at it. Then slowly. She took it. And he didn't let go. 4:47 a.m. again. The room was filled with noise. Machines, voices, urgency. Zara screamed. Cried. Fought. Shadow stayed. Every second. Every breath. His hand never left hers. Then, a cry. Sharp. Loud. Alive. The room went still. Congratulations, the doctor said softly. Zara sobbed. They placed the baby in her arms. Tiny. Perfect. Fighting. She's strong, someone whispered. Shadow stepped closer. Slowly. Like approaching something fragile. He looked down at the baby. And for the first time, his mask broke. She's beautiful, he whispered. Zara looked at him. And realized. This man wasn't just protecting her. He was healing too. While Zara held her daughter. Parker's world collapsed. Accounts frozen. Evidence exposed. Every lie dragged into the light. Security footage. Witness reports. Years of abuse. Shadow didn't touch him. Didn't threaten him. Didn't need to. He used something far more brutal. The truth. And the law. 30 years. Minimum. Parker didn't fall from a balcony. But he still lost everything. 6 months later. The apartment was quiet. Warm. Alive. Sunlight filled every corner. Zara stood in front of a canvas. Painting. Focused. Free. Amara slept in the next room. Peacefully. There was a knock at the door. Soft. Respectful. Zara opened it. Shadow stood there. Same sharp suit. Same quiet presence. But his eyes. Softer now. He didn't step in. He waited. Zara smiled faintly. Then stepped aside. Inviting him in. The beginning, not the end. They sat across from each other. Silence. But not empty. Not heavy. Just calm. Shadow placed a card on the table. A gallery, he said. They want to meet you. Zara stared at it. Then at him. The woman who survived the fall. Her fingers trembled. Not from fear. From possibility. She reached out. And this time, she didn't hesitate. She took his hand. And realized something. She didn't fall that night. She didn't break. She didn't disappear. She was pushed. Yes. But she landed somewhere unexpected. Somewhere dangerous. Somewhere powerful. Somewhere she could finally become whole. And for the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel like something to survive. It felt like something to step into.